What is going on, Governor's Chiscool here, and today we are going to be casting the Ark of Osiris Final Four matchup of K374 versus Snow. This is going to be an exciting matchup that determines who will play OV, the Season 1 champion, who's come back yet again in Season 3 with a vengeance and finds themselves in the finals. That match was cast on this channel moments before we went live now, and it was a heck of a matchup, leading down to an arc worth of points to determine the victor. Will this next matchup be close? What's it going to look like between K374 and Snow? Both of them have had a difficult and challenging set of teams in order to get to this very point in the Ark of Osiris League. K374 had to beat 1008 to make it into this semifinal, and Snow beat JWM in order to make it here, and that was an underdog victory by power for them. Total power rating for Snow looking at 2.9 billion. Total power rating for K374 at 3.3. Now, those are honestly pretty freaking close in the grand scheme of things. They're really quite close. So power is not going to be a factor in this matchup. No, it's all going to come down to execution, being in the right places at the right times and bringing, well, more punch to the fight. Some teams seem to have a more punchy lineup when they go capture the Ark than others, and we'll see who can pull that off today. Now, in a matter of minutes, we'll jump into this matchup, and we will be joined at that time by Dragothian, who will be co-casting with us today. We've co-cast together on the channel. We did so last week. We'll be doing it again in the future, no doubt. So if you like videos that cover Ark of Osiris League, as well as new player guides, consider subscribing to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel and throwing a like on the video. Also, Dragothian and I have channels listed in the description of this video. Feel free to check those out as well. Now, you can see here in the score of the Rose versus OV matchup, it was literally one arc worth of points as the difference maker between who would win that matchup. OV was able to adjust to a very impressive and aggressive Rose start, and then they carried the momentum, carried the arcs. 3 arcs later, they were the victor. How is this 374 versus Snow matchup going to unfold? I'm really not sure. Snow is well known for knowing when it's time to provision in order to pull in massive and astonishing amounts of points. They're well coordinated, but my impression is that K374 might bring a bit more muscle, and they're also well organized. So how is that going to work? Which team will be successful when taking the Ark of Osiris? It's hard to say, but in just a minute, we'll be able to jump right into the matchup and find out exactly how this is going to go. I am very much looking forward to this one. And I'm just going to go and jump back into this view and then back in here, and we'll be able to jump into the matchup literally within the next 30 seconds or so. Do me a favor, drop into the chat here who you think is going to be the victor of this matchup, K374 or Snow. Of course, both extremely formidable teams here. And I'm sure as you've been playing along, you've been figuring out where you want to put your Oryx. Here's where I've put mine. Also, who you have chosen for your eye for talent. But we'll see who ends up the victor of this match. And we're ready to jump into the matchup in just a moment here. And not quite yet able to access it. Any second now, this thing is going to fire up and we'll be able to join in. All right, let me back all the way out of this. Give it one more shot so we don't miss the start of the matchup. Oh, baby. Hang tight here. We'll join in. There it is. We will see you in the matchup.
Chiskel, thanks for throwing it over to me. So I'm with you. I'm very excited to see this matchup. This isn't one that I think many people picked out at the very beginning of this season. You know, we had the heavyweights, right? JWM, we had HKL, OV, which did make it to the finals earlier today, winning against their opponents, Rose. And I got to say, I'm kind of refreshed to see some new faces. You know, Snow's not necessarily new, but they're new to this deep in the playoff run. Final four, winner goes to the finals and faces OV. I'm really excited to see if these two relatively less experienced late game Osiris League teams can battle it out and really see who is going to be able to adapt, because we saw that last match, Jiskel. We had a match where I think that Rose had a winning strategy. They showed it very early on by taking structures right off the bat, but then they couldn't adapt. OV was very well known for their arc gameplay, capturing and controlling the field around the arc when it spawns, and then just capturing the arc at will. They needed to adjust and they didn't do that. I'm curious to see if either one of these teams runs into the same type of situation. And if they do, are they adjustable? Are they flexible? Do they have the communication and discipline to be able to augment their strategy? Because as you all know, like you said before, these strategies have been changing rapidly over the last few weeks. We've started to see a massive transition away from the structure game and into the arc/provisioning game. People cannot necessarily lose all their structures, but if you are provisioning on the back end and getting these 5-digit totals like the Snow team did last week, you can win even losing some arcs and losing some buildings. That's enough points to put them over the top, Jiskel.
Yeah, it really does seem like things are shifting for the teams that are winning. And the thing that they're focusing on is arcs and provisioning rather than structures. And that is a big shift, I feel like, from the previous season where we saw HKL dominating structures and also having great timing for arcs. In 2 seconds, the matchup begins, and now the gates open. Okay, so what should we be looking for at the start, Dragothian? Anything unusual we should expect from these teams?
I don't know if unusual is the right word, but I know that both of these teams do a little bit of weird rally combinations at the very beginning. I'm looking at the blue team here and I'm seeing an outpost rally, which again has started to be added into a little bit of their conversation. I think that that's a weird play, a little bit of a different play. There's only a 500,000 capacity on that rally because it is an outpost. But if you can get some troops back there and go ahead and maybe start harassing early on, delay the capture of those outposts. Like we said last week, those outposts aren't necessarily the most generating points per minute by themselves, but when you start talking about taking 2 or even 3 away from your opponent, that's devastating. That ends up being, if you get all 3 outposts, the second largest points per minute total in the game from a structure standpoint. You need to do stuff like that if you're going to be winning this series and this season of Osiris League.
Yeah, I mean, teams are looking to get every bit of edge they can, and outposts are a way to get some incremental advantage. I wonder also if they can try to squeeze the first capture point, right? It's 80 points. That's pretty meaningful. Are they able to get downfield fast enough with a quick rally? Probably not. But man, if they could, that'd be huge.
Yeah, what, 2.5 minutes until that first outpost captures. Let's see where the rally is at. I can look it up on the rally timer here really quick.
Yeah, I mean, 3
Um,
minutes on the forwardmost outpost, and the rally, I think, is on its way to it.
you got 3 minutes 18 seconds on the closest rally to the outpost. So that's not going to happen. So the initial capture points are probably out the window. But again, if you can just kind of get some people going on in the background, they now have 2 outpost rallies, by the way, due Snow, so or due the blue team here. So there's a very good chance that you have some harassment going on the back end, and really you can maybe swing a couple armies around the side behind, and if maybe they're being a little bit lackadaisical and not paying attention, maybe you can snag an obelisk or 2. And if they've already started sending out farmers, maybe kill a couple farmers while you're at it. I mean, this is all, every point counts, Jisco. I think that's what we're trying to get at. All these rallies have a purpose. It's not just to send some things here and hope for the best. I think they're having a plan around some of these extra rallies. You got 7 rallies up 5 of them being from the blue team here.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a remarkable number of rallies from the one side. And, classically, you rally your obelisks, you rally the opposing side obelisks. That way you can defend yours and pressure theirs. Most teams seem to cancel that rally toward the enemy side obelisk and use it primarily as a way to move your troops down the field. However, we saw in the last matchup where OV won that they actually let the rally run against the enemy side obelisk. They used T1 troops, they let the rally run, the rally lost, and then they let the troops walk home, which I wasn't expecting. But, they went all in, and hey, here's the all-in play right now. Same exact thing from K374. They're trying to swarm down that snow obelisk, and because they used a speedy rally to get there in time, it looks like it'll be defended.
You got it. And that's the thing. So if you are on point with your rally at the very beginning and you're using T1 and your opponent doesn't use, for instance, a cavalry-based rally to rally their own objective, or they don't necessarily put a bunch of open field marches towards that direction right off the bat, there is a very good chance that the enemy could take your obelisk if they do it correctly. And if it doesn't, that's one of those rallies where by the time it gets there and either is successful or dead, by the time your march gets back to your city, you're ready to teleport anyway. So it's kind of one of those throw it against the side of the barn and see if it sticks kind of things. It either works gloriously or it fails tremendously because T1 against T5 just are not a thing. It melts instantly. It's 50,000 normal damage against 1,000 normal damage. It just the rally just melts. But if it works, it's so glorious and it's so funny to watch. And it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say bad manners kind of thing, but it's a little bit of a, hey, by the way, I can pretty much go wherever the crap I want on your field, and you better watch out.
Yeah. Those mobility commanders really do move very quickly downfield and apply a lot of pressure. And now, on the topic of that, we see Belisarius, one of those mobility commanders, making it down to the K374 altar, and they're going to try to yoink this. Snow is going to try to get this out from underneath K374. Will they be successful? Yep, there it is. Now everybody loads in, and suddenly, if you're K374, you've got a swarm into, 1.5 million troops? Tough situation.
Yeah, it is, and it looks like they've got some decent commanders over there to boot. There's an Attila sitting there, and these are all calves, so you could pop that Attila in there and go ahead and make that the garrison captain. It doesn't look like that's what they're doing, or at least they're being very slow to do it. You've got 1, 2, 3 players that are still outside of the Sky Altar. There's a YSS now, also a very good choice for anti-swarm here, but I just don't think they have enough. 374 is doing a great job swarming this down, but look at this, more from the right, more from the bottom. This is exactly what they did last time, just keeping a building an extra 30 seconds to a minute longer, delaying the point generation for the enemy, and ultimately possibly capturing this with 2 minutes left. They need to fill that thing before it goes down, though. There it goes in favor of 374.
Yeah, clean recovery before those first capture points were applied. It is 750 points for that first capture, which is really a huge number of points to secure for your side, especially if you're denying it to the other side as well. And I like that now the map is even.
Getting that little OCD checked, the box checked. That's me as well. I like the cleanliness of the map, but I also like blinking structures too. So right now, snow is swarming down that Sky Altar that they just had for a second, but there's a proper garrison in there. You got Charles Theodora in there, just basically causing destruction on all those swarming armies around it. Now there is a Chandra at the top doing a little bit of debuffing. That's very good. Theodora is very good against swarm. Charles does have that nice little shield to go ahead and deny a lot of those extra points, but we've got a lot more snow coming up from that bottom lane. And there's blinking structures on the back line already with K74 doing 374, doing another rally going down, but it looks like they may be doing these outpost rallies throughout the match.
Yeah, I mean, the outpost rally initially here caused at least 4 marches to redirect and protect the outpost. If you can commit 2 marches to making the opposing side relocate 4 of their own, that seems like a pretty good victory. It's a small one, but a good one.
Yeah, I totally agree. And on the bottom lane, the consistent pressure from Snow is starting to stack up against the Sky Altar. It's almost halfway down, and there is a rally on the way. It is an Attila rally with more field support behind it. Now, I'd be interested to see if Bit from Snow over here doesn't stop and maybe try and save the Shrine of Life, because there is no defense whatsoever open field wise around this Shrine of Life with 8 seconds left until it captures. And there is a counter rally coming from K374, a Guan rally coming down to basically pass that Snow rally coming up. There's nothing there. I don't see any lines. I don't see any defense whatsoever. If Bit goes all in on this Sky Altar, and maybe that's the play because it is worth more points. You're going to deny more points if you take it, and if you actually capture it, that's more points. Nope, he's going to go ahead and stay. So there it is. He went ahead and stayed.
Oh, and 374 canceled the rally.
Oh.
They're depositing those troops. They got some CPO squad over here. Hopefully that's got some extra troop capacity to put into this structure because they need it. Charles Martel by a thread about to fall.
It's looking very, very dubious for the K374 squad over here on the Sky Altar. Massive pressure by Snow, doing a great job. And there's a nice refresh of an army doing a great job. I can't read the name because I don't read the language, but whoever had that Constantine that with a little sliver of health going away, I guarantee you he just put in a full march. He was the savior of the day right there. I'm going to call that guy out and say hero squad. And speaking of which, look on the right side. There is an Attila garrisoned obelisk in the color of blue, which is supposed to be red.
Once again, sort of forcing more marches to commit to the task than they themselves have applied. The folks in blue are forcing red to react.
I agree. And look, Snow kind of did the same thing, right? With that Sky Altar, they've had to commit, they being K374, a lot of presence and a lot of troops to really maintain and secure the Sky Altar. They've done a good job keeping it after the initial capture by Snow. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of going back and forth right now with 2.5 minutes left in the middle here for the arc to spawn. K374 has a massive presence and is built kind of like a little bit of a K374 wall here at the bottom of the lane. Do you see that? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so folks coming from two sides from Snow, K374 all grouped up together, but I don't think it makes sense for them to charge into any one of those groups, even though they'd outnumber them, because they'd be kind of far out of position, far away from the Temple of Osiris. So I guess
I totally
374 just waits now.
It's a chest beating battle right now. This is where all the battles are happening, the chest beating portion. That being said, though, Snow making a little bit of a beeline up the right side there, trying to sneak some people behind to get towards that temple and cause a reaction by the blue team here. And now with that being said, now they've pulled off a little bit. Here comes the center surge from Snow as well. Let's see who ends up coming up out on top on this battle. Just it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, well, Snow activated Mystical Formation, and then we see 374 has actually done the same. So it's a good thing both sides mirroring that play. Otherwise, one side will be really quite dominant over the other in the middle. That's been a really common combination, the War Drums Mystical Formation for, what is it, 4 energy for a total of 160 stats? That's pretty good. Those two skills combined are very popular.
Oh goodness. Look at all the damage, Jiskel. All those red numbers. I'm seeing every red number on your screen. I wish I could see that on my screen because it is literally just tons of red. Look at all that AoE. It's crazy.
It is really crazy. And also impressive that Snow is moving this contest toward the Temple of Osiris, which they have to do. If they can't move this whole encounter on top of that Temple of Osiris, then hey, 374 might have had an opportunity for a really easy breakaway. But now, man, this is anybody's arc.
Yeah, and if we look at, if I've zoomed out a little bit, so I see a bunch of pyramids running around on the screen. It's easier for me to kind of see who's winning the battle a little bit that way, because like you can see on your screen, there is nothing but just graphics and AoEs and damage numbers just floating all over the place. I can tell you right now, just looking at this map, that the blue team here, K374, has really started to own the open field. Now, that being said, Snow has pushed heavily right on top of the temple as the arc becomes available to grab. This is critical. Who's going to grab it first? That's what's going to dictate which direction that this arc starts to go. And the blue team does it. Look at that. Let's see if they can go ahead and start moving it right away.
Yeah, it's a clean grab for the folks in 374, starting to bring things back right through the middle of the contest there. That's a messy place to carry the arc.
That's a scary place to carry the arc.
Yeah, hard
And
to.
he's standing on my screen. He's standing still, Chiskel.
He is on mine as well. Hard to target the carrier because there's just so much going on there. But also, like, gosh, you get hit by so much AoE in the middle of that, and the carrier's down.
Yeah, if you don't move and you're sitting in the middle of that clump, it is a disaster for you. Not only are you taking massive AoE, like Chiskel just said, you are also taking 200% damage. It is a bad combination to be in the middle of that cluster with an arc. That being said, though, look at this. K374 has pretty much cleaned the field. At the expense, though, if you look at the top lane, there is a desert altar that's supposed to be blue that is now red.
So, given what we've seen, how do the strategies of these teams change? Because I'll tell you, from what I'm seeing, and by the way, I'm now looking at the Shrine of Life, Zenobia as the garrison getting swarmed down by 374. If I see how that fight went, and I'm 374, I am going to score every arc every time because, oh my goodness, did they just dominate the center of the map?
It wasn't even close, Chisco.
It kind of wasn't, was it? I mean, I wasn't going to be quite as definitive as what you just said, but like,
I can be.
yeah, it kind of was, right? Like, this is the same sort of disparity that we saw in the JWM matchup where like Snow got rolled in the middle, but it didn't matter because JWM didn't take advantage of that muscle to score as many arcs as possible. So if I was 374, especially if I saw that this is how the JWM matchup went, I would score every arc I could, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly the play. I mean, when you're that dominant at any phase of this game, you do it as much as you possibly can, right? Especially with the arc where it's huge chunks of points that you're going to be getting. Speaking of which, I mean, you've got a 500-point lead in favor of Snow right now. They do have a 50-point per minute lead as well because they did end up taking away that desert halter on the top lane. 30 seconds left on it. They may actually capture it and get a tick of points as well. Now, that being said, 374 did, in fact, take the Shrine of Life that you were looking at there earlier and held it for a little bit too. And they're still kind of holding it and pushing forward with 2 minutes left for that to capture. Every building is blinking on the K374 side. Friendly and enemy is just blinking everywhere. There's rallies everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so on the flip side of things, right, if you're 374, I think you go all in on arcs. But it seems like if you're Snow, there's also a big takeaway here too, as they flip over yet another altar in their favor, which is that like, okay, fine, you take arcs, we take all your structures. And I think Snow's got to go all in on the structure game, right? They got to commit enough to the middle that they don't just free carry arcs for 374. But now I think Snow is maneuvering incredibly well, and they need to rely on that elevated level of coordination to actually just outmaneuver 374 and avoid that head-on confrontation.
I agree. And if we look on the back side of the Snow territory, where the outpost is blinking, we have an appropriately named player named Cheese going out and cheesing some of these outposts and taking them away from Snow. So right there's one that goes down instantly. I know that Snow is taking some of these desert altars, and these are obviously the highest point generation totals in the game. There's Divine Aid being used by the blue team there, which is a great skill to have. They now have 6 teleports as opposed to 0 for Snow, and they did capture the arc right away, which was a key thing, Jessica, we were just talking about. If they would have held on to it, I would have called them JWM 2.0, and then here we go, Snow coming in again to the finals on the backs of somebody making a terrible, terrible arc decision mistake. But good job to them for capturing that. And there's still this guy walking around in the back lanes here, just taking these buildings. That's his job. That's his thing. That's what he does. Now 2 outposts are blue, with a third one trying to be done by the same player. The red players are just kind of marching along. We see some dead armies coming in as well from one of the rallies. But I think some of these altars are starting to tick in favor of Snow as well, Chisco. So, I mean, it's kind of like an evening thing. It's almost a 200 point per minute favor over to Snow. Even though they're down, they have that 200 point per minute or 160 point per minute delta in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of points per minute. What I thought was really interesting as we were watching that backfield, by the way, was that the player from blue with a bunch of marches let someone from red just come along and I guess take or move toward a structure to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I thought's interesting is it seems like they were making the priority call of like, hey, you know what? I just want to disrupt them as much as possible rather than have my own march battle theirs, get weak, and then be unable to operate. So it seemed like a kind of prioritization of the march time over like, doing a little combat and holding the structure.
Absolutely. I think the idiom to live to fight another day is kind of what is being played out over here on the backfield. You've got a snow march that's being harassing this bottom left outpost to take it back. Guan's holding it, but it's going to go down, I think, in favor of red again. But again, you still got these 3 marches just kind of over here harassing. There's 1, 2, 3 marches, 4 marches, 5 marches, 6, 7, 8 marches being held up by this one player just kind of harassing the outpost. That's a great trade. It's not necessarily winning on the battlefield when it comes to the battle reports, but on the battlefield from a presence standpoint, that's a huge win. And then, as again, we see at the obelisk here at the top on the snow side top lane, K374 coming in with an Attila rally against an El Cid-led garrison. El Cid YSG, while it is a good pairing on the open field, not that great in the garrison. It's a little squishy against Cav, especially an Attila-led, probably massively equipped Attila coming in to take a swipe at it.
Yeah. Attila's still the rally choice, it seems, by the way. Except if I look downfield here, we do see a Ramses in use, but getting into so much trouble, they actually canceled the rally. What are your thoughts on that? Cancel the rally versus let it run until it ends?
Well, I mean, I think they're just trying to get their troops back at this point because you can see snow. They're pulling away. They know that they're going to hold the garrison. So instead of letting the rally just kind of play out and slowly dwindle down to nothing, they went ahead and canceled it, swarmed it, get their troops back so they can go to the middle. Because guess what? 4 minutes, 30 seconds, and this arc is about to spawn again. They want to get as much into the middle as possible.
Yeah, we do see 374 bringing a lot of marches to the middle. And a few from, Snow doing the same thing. But man, we just know that Snow is not equipped to handle that middle brawl. Do we have any idea why that is the case? I mean, is it just like commander strength, equipment strength, commander choices?
It could be a little bit of that. I think really the first arc is the least important, right? It's the lowest point scoring arc. I've seen Snow, and I think they may have actually done this last time too, or they tried to anyway before JWM captured the arc and held it. They've done it before where they've kind of let the first arc go. They put a little bit of a presence in the middle, but they didn't really give a whole lot of extra, and they favored really taking the structure game to their opponent. And as you can see, again, they take the Desert Altar on the top lane from 374 right as they do it. And again, they're moving instead of to the middle, they're moving to the Shrine of Life to support this Attila rally at the top lane. I don't think K374 saw that coming at all. I think they're really trying to favor the structure game, and I'd be heavily surprised if they don't bust out a 5-figure provisioning score here for Snow as well. So maybe they're just understanding, again, they're not that strong in the middle, or at least they normally aren't, especially for this matchup. Look, there's only a couple armies. There's like 6 armies here in the middle. I guarantee you in their matchup or in their communication server, they're saying structures, guys. Structures, that's where we need to go.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're making the adjustment. And again, I'm still not entirely sure why their middle game is not very strong relative to the folks that they're battling against. However, hey, stick with what works, right? If the structure game is working, then they should double down on that. And the number of folks they're committing to this relatively low point structure, the Shrine of Life, is pretty remarkable. I mean, Shrine of Life, they don't really need the healing speed, right? That's not really why they're here.
Yeah, well, it's basically the same thing that 374 was doing in their back line, just taking structures for the sake of taking structures. Like if you take the structure, they're not generating points. That's really what it's all about. Now, that being said, I mean, this Charles is holding up remarkably well. It probably will go down just because there's just not a lot of reinforcement except from one player. And I'm not sure if he can quite juggle 4 armies hopping in and out of that structure, especially considering he's probably also the garrison leader. So I don't know if that's going to hold very well for blue, but that garrison defense is doing well enough, I think, to stop that group, that death ball group of snow players from coming back down to the desert altar and reassaulting it after K374 took it back about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I can't believe Charles Martel holding on by a thread, and there it is.
There it
Okay.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that structure falls. Now they've got some options for where they go next. I mean, it's very interesting that instead of going for the structures in sort of the center lane, the ones closest to the Temple of Osiris, they seem to be pressuring the outside lane. This is an opposite strategy from what we've seen a lot of teams doing, right? They're pressuring outside lane, and I think they're doing it intentionally because
Absolutely.
if 374 is going all to the middle, and if Snow can't actually go toe-to-toe with them, then they want to stay as far away as possible. Outside lane is the place to be.
So here's the strategy. They're spreading them very thin. If you look at the bottom lane in the middle, Snow is starting to mass a lot of players there. So here's what the plan is. Get the structure game on point to where they're not generating, they being K374, they're not generating as much points per minute. We need to get that points per minute down. They did take the arc, right? Looking at the points though, they're only up by 500 even after capturing that one arc. The points per minute is in favor of Snow and has been for the majority of the match. Now, here's the play though. You spread them out, get them outside to the altar on the bottom lane, get them outside to the Shrine of Life on the top lane, and then as the middle, they saw in the middle, K374 had 10-1, 20-1 odds from a March standpoint. Maybe they didn't put so many in the middle that they would normally have if Snow had just jammed everybody in right away with that 4 minutes. The problem's going to be the timing because, again, the arc is available. We've got 374 players really holding down Snow here at the bottom with more coming in. I don't know if it was maybe poorly executed from a timing perspective, but the thought process was sound there. Get some structures, stop the points, get them to the outside of the map so they can't come in the middle and reinforce. I think maybe a few minutes beforehand would have been the play there, as really 374 is just kind of walking this arc back, and looks like they'll be in good shape. I think maybe there'll probably be a rally to the outpost from Snow here pretty soon. Maybe the desert altar as well. It's already under assault with the swarm, and it looks like it might go down with Theodora really holding strong and 374 reinforcing very well.
Yeah, Ethelfled Carrier is a little bit unusual pick from 374, but Ethelfled with a little bit of speed from an extra skill is moving real fast, bringing that arc back. So, gosh, if you're 374, I mean, I think you slam dunk every arc you can at this point.
You nailed it. You've got enough here to really just kind of cruise this back. If you can swarm that Saladin down, get the other marches there swarming the other Saladin down, you might not even need to switch players here. Here's another K374 rally. Is this going to be broken or is this going to be going to the outpost? I'd imagine it should be broken, but I mean, it looks like it might just go right on through. They're not going to break it. So, I mean, this arc carrier is still moving with the quickness. It did just drop, but I mean, there's 20 armies for the blue team and 1.5, 1 1/10 for Snow here. More coming, but it's just not enough. The idea was solid, I think, from Snow. I just don't think they executed from a time perspective. Now, keep in mind, Snow provisions. There needs to be a massive point lead for K374, and the only way to do that is to hold your structures while you're doing all this arc. You got to win 2 of these 3 categories to beat Snow with their provisioning prowess.
Yeah, what do you think the provisioning score is going to be this game?
Last game against JWM, it was 11,003 to 500, something like that in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I see a ton of farms going and currently farming at the moment for Snow right now on the bottom lane. Let me check the top lane really quick. More armies running around. It looks like maybe K374 might be doing something a little bit mischievous on the top lane. There is a Saladin kind of running around, maybe tapping some of these farms and disrupting some of the provisioning. That would be a huge play for K374 because again, we're thinking, right? We're thinking that Snow is just going to have this massive provisioning total, which is a thing, right? But I'm sure K374 is also provisioning pretty well. at least a little bit. I see a few farms in blue there going crazy. So if the delta's maybe 3 or 4,000 points from a provisioning standpoint, Snow's kind of winning the structure game a little bit, taking these altars pretty much every 5 minutes, every 8 minutes for a few minutes. They really need to bank all of these arcs, and I see the arc about to get captured here at the outpost as the last march for Snow decides to get swarmed down. Well, he should be going in the outpost. He's probably yelling at somebody to get out of it, Chisco.
Yeah, so that he can get in. Yeah, a common problem. A common problem. You can't cap the arc if there's other people in the structure and it's full. But there it is. Arc is captured. So, okay, a 5,000 point or maybe 4,000 point lead for the folks in blue. If Snow is going in on provisioning, how much of a lead do they need? 7,500? Is that comfortable? 10,000 points? Live stream chat is like, they're going to get 15 to 20,000 points.
Oh my goodness. Get out of here.
Okay, I don't know about that.
We don't have 10 players with all 5 of their marches provisioning. There's just not that many caravans on the map, guys. If that was the case, it would be provisions of Osiris, okay? Let's not get too crazy on the provisioning. That being said, it has become more of a critical part. I will admit that. I'll put whatever stamp you need me to put it on, and I'll also eat whatever crow you need me to eat, because season 1, I was like, get out of here with the provisioning stuff. It's a joke. It's a waste. Why would you put a couple players on provisioning and get a few thousand points when you can have that extra player or two helping you take structures? You need that open field presence. But man, it's turned into quite a piece of this game, and one that I'm glad, because again, anytime you can add a different element of strategy into this game, it's always a good thing for the player base, because you can't just bank on having the most power or the best commanders or the most T5 players, right? It's about strategy, and that's what makes this game mode so good. It's 30 versus 30. Nobody's getting swarmed down from a Zerg. Nobody's getting out-positioned. It's just 30, 30. There's a bunch of buildings to take. Go farm some stuff, and there's one critical piece in the middle that you want to make sure that you end up with at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there are really 3 angles of attack here that can get you to victory. And I think if you get 2 of the 3, you're in really good shape. And so the question is, which 2 do you go in on? It's clear that, okay, I think 374 is running an arc and building strategy with enough provisioning to, keep everybody honest. Whereas Snow runs a structure and provisioning strategy. And it seems like the structure game is to keep people honest, and their main push is actually provisions.
That's exactly right. And to answer your question, as we look at the Sky Altar, and it's looking very dangerous from a reinforcement standpoint. There's more around, but it's looking kind of low. This could go down in favor of Snow, even with all these reinforcements standing around from K374. That Constantine's looking pretty tanky, though. Well done to that Constantine. To answer your original question, though, because I always get so excited about what I'm saying that I end up going very general and excited versus answering the direct question. So let me answer that question. How many points in provisioning is Snow going to have? Last week they had 11,000 and some change. I'm going to say 13K. I'm going to say they're going to go up a little bit higher. They are provisioning like crazy. I do see a lot of farms for Snow. I mean, it's like they heard the cast and were like, oh my goodness, we need to resend out our farms, because I only see 2. There's now 20 that I see, 10 to 20 between the middle, right, and bottom lanes in front of. And look in the base, right? There's 4 teleports for Snow, the red team. There are still 2 players inside. I guarantee you their whole job, that's an 82 million player, by the way. Their majority of their job is to farm. That's their thing. 82 million players contributing on the positive numbers here with the farming. That means you probably got some good gear. And oh no, look at this desert altar here on the top lane under assault. I thought that Charles was the garrison for just a second. It was very low, but no, the Theodora garrison is looking very strong. But Snow coming in with an Attila rally, Chisco.
Yeah, rally after rally. The pressure is on. And 374 seems to have adjusted really well to the initial pressure on their structures. We haven't seen them flip over as much as they were at as the start of the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So if 374 is stabilizing on the building game, Snow has got to be feeling pressure now on what they do next. I mean, do you think they pull an audible and just like go all in on the next arc? That feels, if they can't handle those center fights, like, I don't know.
I mean, look what's happening in the middle. I mean, you've got some players coming to the middle for Snow. It's not an overwhelming force. It's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 players with their marches here. But look at the top. K374, again, going really all in on this arc. There's 2 arcs left, at least. I would say 2 arcs most likely. There could be a third one if there's absolutely zero resistance on both of those arcs. But really, realistically, you've got 2 more arcs. So that's 4,000 and 4,500 points. That's 8,500 points on top of the 4,000 point advantage that they currently enjoy, they being K374. So you're looking at a 12,000 point delta if the points per minute remains the same. So K374 plan has to be defend all your structures, get all the arcs, provision as much as humanly possible to keep it honest. Again, like you said before, Snow is going more for a provisioning and a structure game and avoiding the arc, but I don't know if it's going to be enough when you've got this many arcs. You need to at least limit the amount of arcs that you let the other team capture if you're going to do that. 4 arcs is a lot of points.
That's an astonishing amount of points, yeah. I mean, even if they could just stall one of the arcs, it would be a big deal. And wow, look at the topic of stalling. 374 has been hanging on to this desert altar in an astonishingly close way. In an astonishingly close way. I can't believe they still hold this. Unreal.
There's a double C now leading it. That's about to
yeah,
get
the captain got knocked out of there. So that's definitely going to flip.
Yep.
There it is. Yeah. And that's what Snow has to do.
That's what Snow wants. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to do that. And wow. Oh, so close on the Shrine of War too. Richard the First captain. Interesting.
I mean, Richard's not bad. You need to slow down the damage. Now, whether that's from a shield, whether that's from stats, or whether that's from a heal, it's all the same. In Arc, it doesn't matter. You can have that heal in the garrison and feel confident knowing you're not double filling your hospital for no reason. And he's doing a good job. You can see it. Now, to the death used, I'm assuming it's towards the middle.
It is. Bold
and that's
choice.
For Snow.
So, and it's interesting timing because they're not actually connected with the enemy.
Early.
I feel like a lot of usage there is getting wasted. I mean, look at that. 374 is literally walking the other way. Really punishing Snow for that early cast of To the Death. Totally just making them waste their action points. Unbelievable. Look at that dodge. Really good. Oh, and
now it's To the Death.
Mm-hmm. So 374 really controlling the terms of that engagement. A little bit of a miss there for Snow.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm looking at the buildings that are blinking right now. There's a Guan Leo rally against a Zenobia on the bottom desert altar. That's not going anywhere. It's not doing anything. Now, on the other side, though, the Sky altar on the bottom lane from Snow is under heavy assault. It's owned by Snow, but 374 is doing a quick swarm to see if they can grab it really quickly. They don't want that points per minute ticking too heavily in favor of Snow because, look, I mean, you got 250 points per minute. That's 1,000 points if you hold it for a few minutes. I mean, that's a thing. You need to make sure that not only are they going to get 1,000 points, but you're not getting 1,000 points. It's a 2,000 point swing. That's where the provisions end up playing a big role because you're going to have enough provisions to counteract that double point per minute swing. They're holding 3 altars right now. They're doing what they need to do. It's a 4,000 point game. They need this arc, they being K374, and they're doing a good job of it. They just grabbed it and they're starting to run with it already. And again, Fight to the Death is still on for 374, whereas Snow doesn't have it anymore.
Right. I mean, in the big picture, though, like, gosh, even with the timing of that being a little off, Snow, like, it just seems like they're not trying to win the middle anyways. The points per minute right now, 350 points per minute in favor of Snow. That's what they're trying to do. And look at that, insatiable desire for 374. So 374 is not slouching when it comes to provisioning.
Not at all. Not at all. That's becoming more and more prevalent of a skill being used, especially towards the last 20 minutes of the game. That was planned. Looking at the top, though, they've almost lost all of their structures. Look at that. The Shrine of Life is down in favor of Snow. Obelisk down in favor of Snow. That was probably an empty obelisk. Somebody just came in and tapped it because there's so much going on across the map. They'll take that back really quickly. But again, that is 20 points per minute for 3 minutes gone. That's 60 points. They just lost. Not to mention, again, if they don't do anything about it, which nobody's doing anything about it right now, they need to do something. There we go. There's a player sending a Genghis to go try and get that back. But the Ark's coming back with relative quickness. There's 18, almost 19 minutes left in this match. There's definitely another Ark coming, guys. And that means if K374 is able to do both and provision really hard and not lose too many structures to boot, they may come out the winners here. Snow doing a great job, though. I mean, they're doing a hell of a job on this structure game. Look at how crazy these structures look. It shouldn't be this red.
No, I mean, so I will say 374 got a lot of their structures back pretty quickly there. And now their points per minute are coming back into play too. So 340 to 560, still, right? Like 220 points per minute in favor of Snow. That's definitely the thing they need to be doing. But is it enough? Like, these arcs are just so many points.
I mean, you figure, okay, so say they lost all their structures, but didn't lose them to occupation. You know what I mean? Like, they're not generating your points, but they're not also generating points for your enemy. So that's 2 altars. That's 300 points. That's 2 shrines. Those are 80 points. So that's 160 plus 300. That's 460 points per minute. Say it takes 4 minutes. If they lost all, this is pretty much worst case scenario, right? You lose all your main buildings for 4 minutes. So 460 times 4, that's about 2,000 points, give or take 100 or so. Just doing some quick mental math. That's half of an arc score. And that didn't happen. Snow didn't take all 4 of those structures. They took 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. And they got them back really quickly. So they need to completely own the structure game for that kind of strategy to work. I think Snow is really banking on their provisioning. And I think they're banking on K374 not provisioning as much as I think they may be, because again, Insatiable Desire being used is a skill used for somebody who's provisioning pretty heavily.
Yeah, you don't line up Insatiable Desire if you're not provisioning, right? Like, and you're not provisioning with a reasonable number of marches.
Very. Wow. There's Valiant Stand being used on the Shrine of War there on the top lane for Snow. They want to make sure they hold that structure. There is a rally with Heavy Swarm coming down from 374. That was a preemptive.
I really like the timing.
There.
Yeah, that was really good timing for that Valiant Stand.
Very. I like it a lot.
It's got 5 minutes of duration, right? So like, get every second of value from that by casting it before the rally hits, not after you've already, halfway lost the structure.
Speaking of which, top lane Shrine of Life for K374, getting Rally and Swarm, double Guans, Constantine Joan attacking the structure, Alex attacking the structure with Tamiris, debuffing everything. There's an El Cid there too, really putting it to Theodora, who is really an anti-swarm commander, but 2 players coming over to try and help support this. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, though. That rally looks very strong, and the swarms are about half health. Puggy needs to really take out some of these silencers. That's what's really hurting some of these commanders.
I was going to say she's anti-swarm, but not anti-silence. Like, she can't actually execute any of the anti-swarm technology if she's silenced. So I like that Guan choice to take out the garrison. Plus, Guan has a second skill relevant for hitting garrisons as well. A solid choice. And the rally with the swarm is doing some work. Look at that Alexander the Great with Tamiris. That's an interesting combo.
It is. Not meant for damage, meant for support. And just like that Shrine of Life goes down. Also, the Sky Altar going down on the other side. 15
Man,
seconds
this is
ago.
Closer than it should be.
Huge.
I don't know. 374 just cannot seem to hold their structures. And, that's a credit to Snow. Whatever they're doing to hit these structures is very effective. And whatever 374 is doing in the middle is very effective. I mean, these two teams are executing two very different plans very well. And it's unclear to me who the winner's going to be. Now, with 15 minutes left on the clock, just shy of that, and 5 minutes till the next arc, that's a 10-minute window, a little less than 10 minutes, to run the arc to where it needs to go and cap it again. Do you think Snow switches things up and goes with an all-in play on the arc?
I think they have to. So they need to put every single player in the middle, because and K374 knows it. So there's already people coming to the middle with 4.5 minutes left on K374. They are coming hard. They know they need this arc to really solidify the victory. It's a 7,000 point game right now, almost exactly. If they capture this 4,500 point arc, it's 11,500 points in favor of K374 and their provisions. I just don't think there would be enough for Snow provision-wise. They've put some into their cities, right? It's not like they're going to drop a 13K bomb at the very end, at least I would think. And with the buildings starting to even out, and even with K374 looking at the back lane again, the outpost harassment has begun again. They own 2 of those outposts. I don't know if it's going to be enough for Snow. This is going to be tight.
Yeah, I mean, does anyone else find it strange that we're talking about such a huge gap in points and we're still saying, I don't know who, legitimately saying, I don't know who's going to win?
That is a little bit of a struggle.
It's like, this is the hallmark of 2020 and provisioning. It's actually we just don't know with Snow what kind of points they're going to throw down there.
Yeah, if we had this match even last season, right? Especially season 1, we'd be like, this is a blowout. K374 going on to the finals. We're just watching the final minutes and not really doing anything about it. But this is a strategy. Snow knows they're going to be down for the majority of the match because they're giving up the middle. They're just giving up the arcs. Now, again, to your question, do they go all in? It's looking almost identical to the last arcs. There's not heavy presence. Very early coming in from the bottom, 374.
Wow.
It's really
just enough. Yeah, just enough to convince the other team to not leave. Right? It's just enough to convince 374, man, I can't leave this. I gotta go. I can't go somewhere else. I gotta stay here and deal with this. But I don't know that Snow's really trying to take it.
I don't think they are. And I think that's actually a mistake. I think their plan has been fantastic. And the fact that they're in it, right? The fact that they're in it right now with being down by 7,000 points is because of their strategy. But I think the play here is to go all in on the middle with your point structure teams, right? And that way you cut that large deficit to 4,500 and you are banking on knowing that you've got an extra 5, 6, 7 grand provisioning on top of it. That puts you over the top. But without an arc, or at least stopping the arc from getting captured, I don't think they're going to have enough, even with the points per minute being, in favor of them. Right now, it's only 20 points per minute. It was 200 a second ago, but it's only 20 now. So, I mean, there's just not enough.
Right. Well, for the folks in Snow, I mean, this really is a precise calculation, I think. They're not winging it. They know their range. They know their reach. Right? I think they've got it down to a science where they know, if we commit this much to gathering, here's what our provision score is going to be. So if they're not going mid, I mean, they must think they have it, right?
They may think that, but I mean, how do you calculate, right? How do you calculate the opposing provisioning, especially when technically you're not supposed to know? Well, I guess you do see it. You do see insatiable desire being used on it just because it's an open skill when it's used on the screen. And speaking of skills on the screen, I mean, there's a couple being popped right there in the middle. But, I mean, it's 100 armies versus 7 against Snow?
Yeah. I mean, I would think if any team could predict with a fair degree of accuracy what the opposing team's provisions would be, I think it's Snow. They are the masters of provisioning. And to be a master of provisioning, I think it's also a master of precision. You don't win in a spectacular way. You win in a precise way.
I love seeing all that damage just go So amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's I look, like, this game is close. Look at the score. Look how close that score is all of a sudden. I
It's
wonder if
now
some provisioners came
3,500.
home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's now a 3,500 point game. They're definitely coming home. It's 10 minutes left. They're getting as much as they can in now, or at least maybe half, and then going back out to go and do another, 7-minute run. Arc is up, and 374 has basically surrounded it with one bing bong bang guy coming in from the bottom there to say, "Hey, no, let me stop you," kind of thing. But the wrong carrier, by the way, getting the arc. He joined from the bottom left side instead of the top side of the temple in general. So that's an extra few seconds. But I mean, clearly, look at that. He's just kind of walking
He's
away. Snow
cruising.
just trying to stop as much as possible, but they're just getting melted in a line because they have to stretch out. And once that happens, it's pretty much GG in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like it's GG in the middle. I mean, if you are in blue now, you've got to fan out and get back to doing other things quickly. Because wow, that point total is really narrow. 3,500 points. Not even 3,400. It's close.
Mm-hmm. It's steadily going down by 100. But again, you got to remember that's 3,500 points. Let's just call it 3,000, right? But here comes another 4,500 in the form of an arc in your back pocket. And again, assumingly, you're doing some provisioning on the back end. I mean, if you keep it within 4,000 or 5,000 points in provisioning, there should be a game over match in favor of K374. If not, though, if Snow has really gone so heavily into provisioning and they drop a 20K bomb on us, I mean, what do you say to that?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna start investing more in gathering commanders.
I mean,
Running charge activated for blue.
Yeah, they want to capture it really quick and get back to their structures, get back to provisioning. Like all these armies need to just go, find a caravan, go farm it, and hold your structures.
Right.
Any points.
Well, that's an interesting talking point. So, okay, 374. Like, how much should they be focused on structures versus, like, actually just running all these marches home, sending out a gatherer instead?
There's going to be a fine line, right? I think that taking structures away right now would basically get you, 300-400 points if you stop them from having an altar per se. If you can do it multiple times, that's really, really beneficial. But likely Snow is doing the same thing. I mean, they've basically been doing that the whole match, is playing very defensively, but grabbing offensive structures when the arc is spawning. Like, that's been their play, and that's what their disruption has been. That's where they're going to get that window where they can drop that massive heavy provisioning bomb on the end of the match and see if it's going to play out. I don't know if there's a line there that you can predict because there's just so many variables.
Yeah. Wow. 8,000 point difference between the teams now.
Wow.
But that's a lot. That feels out of reach to me.
Like I said, I think it's they just aren't going to have enough. I mean, we're going to see here. I mean, look, we can sit here until we're blue in the face and say, "Oh, is Snow going to have enough provisions? Oh, is K374 going to have enough provisions to outweigh the massive provisioning bomb that we know Snow is about to drop?" I personally think they are. I just looking at the map, I see tons of armies floating around in favor of K374. They should have plenty of capability to defend these structures, and I just see rally after rally after rally getting defended on the K374 side. So, I mean, there's a rally over here against the Shrine of Life at the top lane. That's the farthest away, so I'd expect that to be the worst of it all. And Puggy over here is basically swarming down the swarming armies, and now they can go ahead and swarm down the Attila, and that'll be over. So, I mean, I think K374 has it. This is a large amount of points.
It's funny that we just can't say. And it feels like, from a defense standpoint, 374 has really evolved. I mean, it feels like they started with a straw house defense. They graduated to a wood house defense. And now it's the brick house defense, and Snow cannot blow this house down. It seems the defense is really kind of stepped up here. And I feel like without being able to get these structures, this critical piece of the Snow attack plan is not working.
I guess here's the question. With a straight face, knowing that, again, K374 has used Insatiable Desire for their farming skills. They've been farming all match. is the delta between Snow and K374 that drastic that they will out-provision their opponent by 8,000 points? Because that's the delta right now. Will the end number be 8,000 points higher for Snow than it will be for K374? Knowing what we know.
I think Snow thinks they've got it. And the reason I think Snow thinks they've got it is that they didn't run the middle harder. Right? Either they should have gone middle hard like we were advising, or they think they're actually in the lead and that what they're doing is working. So they must think they're going to win. Otherwise, they should have gone hard on the middle, right?
It's good to think things. It's almost a 10,000 point game.
Yeah, it's going further and further away from them now. Yeah.
They need to hold the Sky Altar. That's one thing. I mean, we're sitting here staring at the Sky Altar, and that Charles is looking dangerously low. Snow putting definitely some heavy pressure on this building here. I don't think there's much pressure across the rest of the map, though. I know that Snow is trying to hold their Shrine of War, which is looking pretty much in favor of Snow. There's some swarming armies in a rally for 374, but not looking strong against this Zenobia garrison. The Desert Altar on the bottom lane, again, it's just three armies swarming the Desert Altar against Zenobia. It's just not going to work out very well for them. Really, this Sky Altar on the bottom lane that we've been staring at is the closest to going down. There is a proper Attila rally on it from Chabi, alongside of a lot of swarm with all those silencers and shield givers and debuffers and all that. So that's a proper, I want to take this structure kind of a push. And with 3 minutes left, I mean,
they could disrupt really 450 points. Yeah, I mean,
this is
it's a lot of points to disrupt if they get this. I don't know that they are, though.
Constantine's looking good.
He is looking good. This attack is not looking like it's gonna come through. 10,000 point difference here. 9,500 between the teams. I don't know, man. Provisioners are only gonna come in the last 20 seconds, though, right? Like that's when it's all those points are gonna land.
We're going to see a lot of running charge and swift stride skills being used if they've toggled them. I see a lot of red marches inside these caravans, pretty much a ring of red marches doing the caravans here around their base. I don't see any caravans on the right side at all. It's empty.
They've caravanned it out, huh?
They have literally mined out the right side of the map.
Everyone. 9,000 point difference in the matchup here.
Oh, man. I don't know if this is one of those just everybody shut up and just watch what happens. Just bring up the top and look at the point total and just watch the timer count down. Or should we talk about, what if something happens, which way where did it go wrong or where did it go right or whatever? I mean, at this point, we're looking at a minute and a half, right? The structure game's pointless at this point. You might help 150 points, 200 points, something like that. Yeah. In 30 seconds, it's completely worthless.
Yeah, it's about to be super irrelevant, which is why it's weird that there's so many marches engaged in battles at structures. But I guess like you still want those points, like at the points. Yeah, it's still 150 points. You got to hold on to that.
I mean, it's a 10,000 point game. Like this would normally be like, whatever, I'm just going to swarm stuff. But they want those 100 points. Just go. I can tell you, they know Snow's going to be dropping some ops. There's 2,000 right there. Now, same thing for K374 though. They dropped 2,000 on there, so they're keeping up. There's another 1,000.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Left. Watch the scoreboard. Either Snow has precisely calculated the route to victory,
I don't see
or maybe they should have gone heavier in the mid, or maybe they were just outclassed in the middle, and there wasn't a path for them in this game.
I think they may actually win by 2 marks.
Yeah.
Because it's not looking, I mean, it's 20 seconds left.
Yeah.
We're looking for the points. I told you the top was farmed out. That means that they've already been returned.
Yeah. Wow.
And more points are coming for 374. This is crazy.
Yeah. This looks like
5 seconds. This is done.
Yeah. 374. Huge win.
Huge win.
Ooh.
And now I have to question, why were we so worried? It's a 10,000 point win.
Snow beat JWM, which is a really tough team. So To underestimate Snow would be a huge mistake, but perhaps we overestimated the reach of provisions here. Heart of Courage, 374. The big victory, 54,252 points to the 43,164 for Snow. This will conclude Snow's run for the top seat, the champion of the Ark of Osiris. However, 374 moves on, and they will be battling against the Season 1 champion, OV. Let's get some GGs in the chat.
What a great match.
Great match. Well played. Kept us on the edge of our seats the entire time. Anything stand out to you in the scoreboard here?
Well, I will say that, I was right about the provisions, 13K for Snow. But did we see actually K374 out provisioning Snow?
Yeah, that's impressive.
Where's the calculation for that? I mean, they're used to being 6,000-7,000 point favorites in provisions. And look at this, K374 not only out provisioning the provisioning alliance in the main provisioning alliance in this Osiris League season, but 15,000 points. Even if they didn't out provision, 15,000 points. This game was over 2 arcs ago.
Yeah.
We just didn't know it.
Snow needed to at least capture one of those arcs. Like if they had stalled one arc, it would have been closer, but not enough. If they had stalled an arc and scored an arc, it would be a different story. It would be a lot closer, but gosh, Heart of Courage with that insatiable desire. It seems like they went with the route of using less provisioners, but using insatiable desire to speed them up. Whereas Snow literally provisioned every single spot. They ran out of spots to provision.
Wow.
Which is maybe why they don't use insatiable desire. Because there's not enough spots to take advantage of it.
I will say, I don't think I've ever seen a section of the map completely farmed out. Like, just completely farmed out. Like, it wasn't even there. So that was a thing. And I will say something else to think about as we go into the next season here, right? Or the next matchup, because it's a best of 3 now, guys. Remember, it's best of 3. K374 has beat Snow, which a lot of people had them after last week going to the finals. 1008, which was a very solid team. In fact, a lot closer to 1008 than it was to Snow. Beating Lig, very strong alliance, more geared towards, I think, KBK than Osiris League, but a very good job. If you look at the group stage playoffs, though, look who they beat. Their next target. They're the one alliance that has beat OV, and it was substantial, 47K to 35K. If we go into the schedule, it's sitting right there staring us in the face. This is before they changed their name to K374. It's when they were SFS. So I'm curious to see how the bets look next week.
Wow. That is really interesting.
That's a huge deal.
We've seen this matchup before.
Yeah. And K374 won substantially.
K374 won, but dude, no team adjusts like OV adjusts.
They do.
I guarantee you, OV will adjust profoundly based on that one matchup.
If I had to guess what the adjustments would be, as I kind of let my piece fall off the map, and you can close it up and tell us to get the heck out of here. I think that the adjustment to beat a team like K374, like OV, like Snow even. I think Snow really just they should have put a lot more pressure on that last arc. That would have helped. That's basically a 5,000 point swing, which wouldn't have done enough, but it would at least kept them honest. The way to start combating this stuff, you've got to assign, just like you have people that are assigned to farm, you've got to have some people assigned to kill their farmers. I mean, we haven't seen that yet. We've had a couple people doing some harassment in the back and doing the outposts and things like that. There's going to have to be a guy. Like, you're going to have a guy. Like, get your best farmer killer out on the field, which who would have ever thought you'd hear me say that? Get your best farmer killer in your Osiris League team to be top tier. But that may be the play. I mean, you might need, because that's a lot of points. If you can put one person on and even cut that point total in half. That's an arc. And if I told you, put one player on your team and you can save an arc's worth of point, I mean, I'd do it.
Yeah. 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 That's totally worth. That's really surprising. Oh, man. Well, Dragothian, anything you want to add before we wrap up the stream today?
Well, that was it. I mean, who would have foreseen the matchup that we're about to see next week? And again, best of 3. So I mean, it's not like, you know, if OV kind of pulls a rabbit out of its butt and ekes out a win for 500 points or something like they're known to do, right? It's not like K374 can't say, you know what, we were supposed to beat you, so you know, the odds are going to play out and we're going to win 2 out of 3. So I mean, that's going to be fun to cast. I think that having already lost to K374, formerly SFS, is something they need to account for, and K374 needs to understand that that was in the past, and maybe there was a different lineup, maybe there was a different strategy, and understand who they're going up against. They're going up against the former Season 1 champions who are now back in the championship in Season 3. So looking forward to casting those with you guys, and we'll see who ends up doing the casting over the next 3 weeks, but we'll get it done. And thank you everybody for joining as well. A lot of folks joined the cast today.
Yeah, really great to have everybody here. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel for Ark of Osiris League and beginner guides, consider subscribing to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel. Also, check out the links in the description of the video to Dragothian and my channel, as well as Gecko, who also casts Ark of Osiris League. We look forward to seeing you next week for the best 2 out of 3 matchup to explore, hey, who is going to be the season champion? Will it be K374, a team that has been undefeated all season? Or is it going to be OV, the season 1 champion, and the team that adapts and grows and changes its strategy the most based off of what it sees, both in-game and between games? So really, we see like the season undefeated team versus the most adaptable team. And I'm really eager to see that play out in a best 2 out of 3. We're headed out for now, my friends. We'll see you next week and every week that there's Ark of Osiris coverage to be had. Until then, have fun, smash in your Ark of Osiris, and good luck.